as I'm sitting here trying to work out my topics for my videos today, I have different lists that I make. So I don't normally do it on the day, right? And I have different ideas that I've had, different developments of ideas that I've had. And this morning I've scrapped all of that and I want to talk to you about insomnia because I have had insomnia for 20 years. It's been one of the biggest problems that I've ever struggled with my health. And the impact that it has on your focus, your clarity, your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health is beyond understanding if it's not something that you've been through. So I wanted to share a little bit about my story and a little bit about all the different things that I've used and a lot about how much I understand and give you a place where you feel like you are not the only person dealing with this. Because I don't know about you, but if you have suffered with insomnia, I guarantee that you have heard, oh, just have a warm bath, or just go to bed earlier, or, all of the different sleep hygiene things that I will go through because they are important. But when your insomnia is that deeply entrenched, when you hear these things, it almost feels painful because you know that those things are not going to help you, but you know that someone is giving you that information because it has helped other people, right? So it kind of makes you feel like you're in a space where you're alone and nobody understands, and that's not true. My name's Emma, and I'm really happy that you're here, and I understand completely. My insomnia started due to trauma, which is often how complex cases of insomnia start. And it happened because something very traumatic happened for me while I was sleeping. While I was sleeping, my father was found not alive, and he'd ended his life. I'd gone to sleep, he'd been missing, people had been looking for him. I got woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning to be told, come home, we found him. And it was the most traumatic thing you could possibly experience. I was 16 years old, my dad was my best friend. So that had a huge impact on me, okay? And that had a huge impact on how safe I felt when I went to sleep. Now, disclaimer, the reason I know the things I know about myself and my sleep is because I have had huge amounts of therapy, CBT, sleep clinic input, specialist input, and I have gone deep into this both by myself and with the help of professionals. So that's how I know the things that I know. This is a tapestry that I've woven together over 20 years to understand. Now, that gave me some sleep problems. And then when I had my daughter, she only slept for 20 minutes at a time. Now, having a baby disrupts your sleep cycle anyway, but when you have a child that doesn't sleep, a baby that doesn't sleep, that can cause actual sleep trauma, and no one talks about that. No one tells you that that's a thing. In fact, that was probably the biggest shock to my life, was the sleep trauma I had, because as a mother, you are on alert, and as a father as well, you are on alert. You are ready for that child. The second it makes a noise, the second your baby needs you, you're there, regardless of your own health. It's a crazy thing. I mean, obviously, it's a necessary thing. It's a brilliant thing. It's how the human race has survived, but it didn't do me much good in the long term. So after that, I was put on sleep medication. I was on sleep medication for a couple of years, tried to come off the sleep medication, sort of succeeded a couple of times, but never for very long. I would try all of the different basic things that you can do, which we'll get into, and I always ended up back on sleep medication. Fast forward to now, 2024. What are the things that I have tried through the course of my battle with insomnia? Now, what do I know? I know I have both types, two types of insomnia. Have the type of insomnia that stops you getting to sleep, have the type of insomnia that wakes you up very, very often. So I have two types. For that reason, and because of how bad my sleep insomnia is, sleep insomnia? I don't know if that makes sense, but you know what I mean. I was actually written off by the second sleep clinic, which was John Radcliffe Hospital in England, which is renowned for its sleep clinic. And after they did tests on me, they put electrodes on my head, they measured my brain activity through the night. Even on sleep medication, my brain didn't shut off ever, doesn't shut off ever. So they dismissed me, but not because I was fixed, but because they had run out of things to do with me. Now, through the course of my time, things that might help you if you haven't got to this point. Sleep hygiene is very, very important. Google it, there's books on it, there's videos on it, there's worksheets on it. Sleep hygiene includes a whole bunch of things like make sure your room is cool, make sure your room is dark, make sure that you're wearing earplugs if you're sensitive to noise. Go to bed at the same time every day. Get up at the same time every day. Don't stay in bed for longer than 20 minutes if you can't sleep. Don't do out of bed activities in bed. And by that, what I mean is the only things you should be doing in the place where you sleep is having sex and going to sleep. So if you only have one room or one bed, one area where you can chill out at the end of the day, there are things you can do to make it work through. Or if you're in a hotel, you're traveling. So what I would do in that situation is I would sit up for a start and I would move to I'd work out where am I going to sleep on my bed, and I would sit in a totally different position. I wouldn't have the covers on me. If there's a seat in the room, I'd sit on that. This is when I'm being very disciplined, which I'm about to go into a new cycle of now, because the reason for making this video is that I am screwed from lack of sleep and I've had enough again. So I would sit in a different position because you want your brain to differentiate the place you get into to sleep and all the other things that you do in your day. Now, I've just heard something in a book that I'm listening to that has really impacted me. So I've known all along that blue screens before bed, that's another thing. Don't do that. Caffeine before bed, obviously don't do that. I'm saying obviously because I'm guessing if you're watching this video, you have complex insomnia and not just struggling to sleep. Don't eat a meal within 3 or 4 hours of going to sleep. You know, there's all of these things. Have a warm bath before you go to bed. All of these things can help if your insomnia has just started or if it's not something that's deeply entrenched in you. But if you're already at the point I'm at, you do all of these things, they won't necessarily help. Now, the blue screens before bed, I've known about this for a long time. I'm rubbish. I'm as addicted as anybody else. And I still go on my screen before bed. I still watch TV before bed, even though my life is ruined by not having enough sleep. It's crazy. But I just listened to this book that told me this. When the sun goes down, the reason we sleep better when we're away from artificial light is because when the sun goes down, our brains give us, now hear this, I'm going to say it twice, our brains give us a surge of energy. Now, the reason for that is as cavemen, people that live tribally, when the sun started to set, having that surge of energy was excellent because it meant you could get your camp set up, get everything safe before it was dark, right? And then you go to sleep. I'm going to say it again. When the sun goes down, your brain releases a surge of energy. So if you are looking at screens, which is effectively our sun for our brain, it's the light going into our eyes and into our brain. So our brain has a reaction in the same way as it would is as if it was the sun. So if you have bright lights on at home at night and screens, that's basically your sunset. That's what you're controlling now. You're controlling the sunset. Now, when the lights go out, you are then giving your brain a surge of activity. And in that surge of activity, you can't sleep. How can you sleep when your brain, your subconscious brain is going, we have things to do, we have things to do, we have things to do. Which is why when you go to bed, you lay there and you overthink and you think and you think and you think. So for me, my biggest takeaway from this video, and I'll do more videos on more of the things that I've used through my experience to try help me with my insomnia, but this is the thing I want you to take away from this. Take away light from your brain hours before you want to sleep, because your poor brain is doing exactly what it should be doing and giving you this surge of activity, this surge of focus so that you can get stuff done. And then you're trying to go to sleep and then you're frustrated and then you are perpetuating the insomnia, because then what happens is you go to bed, you turn off the TV, you turn off your phone, you turn off the lights, you try to sleep, you can't sleep, and your brain then starts to associate being in bed with not sleeping, with stress, with I'm going to feel awful the next day. And to rewrite that narrative, you need to first of all not get into bed until you feel sleepy. That's very, very important. But stop all light. at least an hour before you try to go to sleep and see what happens. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to try very hard to do that. And it makes sense to me why I sleep better when I'm in my motorhome with very limited light, especially at this time of year. Right now, it's pouring down with rain outside, and I'm going away in the van tomorrow. So it'll be really interesting to put this in place. I'm going to try put it in place tonight, try put it in place in the van. But I sleep better when I'm in the van. And I think it's because I don't have endless amounts of light pouring into my eyes and my brain, telling me it's time to do stuff. So that is the thing I want you to take away from this video. I will make more videos about apps I've used and my sleep routine if you think it would be helpful. If you've made it to this point in the video and there are things that you want me to talk about, things that you want to talk about with me, you want me to explain anything that I've tried that has worked, tried that hasn't worked, tell me and I will make more videos about it. But for now, shut off the light before you go to sleep. Seriously, because your poor brain is being battered. You're turning off the lights and telling your brain there is things to do. It's blown my mind. I really hope this is helpful for you. And as always, have the best day. As a little bonus, if you're still here all the way at the end, I am going to link to another video I made about cold water therapy. And that is one of the things that I would talk about if I elaborated on this. It was one of the things that has helped my mental health, my ADHD, and my sleep. Or less my sleep, more my coping with not having any sleep. So I'm going to link to that video. If you feel like that would be helpful, have a click, have a watch. Let me know what you think.